Hi, guys. Today, I want to talk to you about forgiveness and just share a little bit about how my experience in my forgiveness journey has been and where I'm currently at. So, obviously, I've had a lot of experiences in my life where I've met people who are not the nicest human beings. I think at the end of the day, the one person who caused me the most pain or the person who is going to be the most challenging to forgive, hands down, be my dad. I've been very vocal about it. I've talked about it in my past episodes, but if this is the first episode that you're listening to, I will provide a little bit of context. My dad and I, we don't have the best relationship. When I was really young, he was like obsessed with a very toxic definition of health, diet culture kind of vibe. He put me in this very strict diet. He was monitoring everything I ate, if I exercised or didn't exercise. And every single month, we would go to the hospital to do like a check in with the doctor or get blood out of me. As I keep saying it over and over, it sounds like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't like that deep. Maybe what happened wasn't that bad. The way I experienced it, it really shaped me and I wasn't able to be happy because it's not about, oh, poor me, I was in a diet, but rather he conditioned his love based on if I was following the diet or not, if I exercised or not. Every single time I ate something, he'd have something to say and he wouldn't be afraid of saying it. My life immediately became this thing where I had to focus only on my body. My number one goal was to lose weight, to be skinny. The worst thing I could ever do was gain weight. And I'm not even joking about that. Like, even 2 years ago, if you would have asked me what's the one thing you're most afraid of, I would have said gaining weight. I didn't think my dad was ever wrong for anything. I think it was always me. I didn't follow the diet. I didn't want to exercise. I felt anxious. All I wanted was to emotionally eat. And obviously, at that moment, I didn't understand I was emotionally eating. I just felt really upset and really anxious and I wanted to feel safe and I just wanted something that felt good. Anyway, the first thing that I think about when I think of my dad is the diet. I currently don't speak with my dad. I'm at peace with it. I'm okay with it. I think God had this for me. He wanted healing for me, and that's why He removed my dad from my life. The more I work on my relationship with food, the more I realize I need to heal my relationship with my dad, and that's the real struggle for me. Because I always thought it was me who antagonized food, which is 100% true, I did. But I was using food to control my relationship with my dad. And I think I've talked about this in another episode. It's like, oh, my dad is upset with me, so I'm gonna make sure that I follow the diet perfectly so that my dad can express his love to me and give me attention. Oh, I don't want my dad to be upset with me, so I'm going to exercise to make sure that we are okay. Every negative thought I've had regarding food, regarding my weight, regarding how I look like, regarding my worth is from him. The urge I have to lose weight comes from him. I think at our core as human beings, we just really want to be loved and accepted. And everything you do is going to be because you're loved or because you feel unloved. But it always revolves around love. I spent most of my life feeling like I was unlovable because I didn't look a certain way. And that's when I realized it's not really about how I look like, but more how I feel. Because even when I was at my skinniest, I felt really bad. And there are moments where, if I really think about it, I just want to cry. Like, if I start crying, I have enough reason to never stop crying for the rest of my life. The pain that I went through is so big that if I spend the rest of my life crying, it's going to be justified. And because of that, I was really struggling to forgive my dad. I was really angry. And every time I talked about it with my mom, she'd immediately be like, no, like, you have to forgive your dad. I just want to clarify, my mom is not telling me to forgive my dad because she is dating him, like, they're divorced. My mom is just encouraging me to forgive him more from a religious perspective. And not only that, I feel like even if she wasn't religious, she would be encouraging me to forgive my dad just because it liberates me. So that's where my mom comes from. But every time I talked with my mom, I was just looking for validation. I was just looking for comfort, and she would immediately be like, forgive him. So a constant thought I had was like, my dad does not deserve forgiveness. Like, he did what he did and he was an asshole about it. And I don't care. At my core, he ruined most of my life. I spent so much time being unhappy, hating myself. He taught me how to hate myself. He taught me to be uncomfortable with my body, to hate myself for just wanting to eat, which is natural. He made me hate myself for having natural responses to a binge restriction cycle. I've been through hell feeling all of this. because that just lets him go free. He doesn't deserve to just go away, being forgiven, while I'm here sitting with my pain. It just sucks the fact that someone comes into your house, breaks your plates, and then leaves. And now it's like, oh, I have this house and it's a total mess. Now I have to clean something that I didn't break. The first step is just like accepting that that happened and that you can't change it. And once you accept it, you are going to feel more willing to forgive. And I just didn't want to accept it because I feel like accepting someone's behavior is letting them know that it's okay. And no, it's not okay. I've spent so many nights crying. I remember one time I went to the movie theater and I bought popcorn and M&Ms. I was having such a good time, but then I came back and I literally cried myself to sleep because I felt like the worst human being for having popcorn and M&Ms at the movies. I've spent so many nights crying. And as I said, I could spend so many more nights crying about it because it's so painful. And what sucks about this, if I'm being honest, is that nobody understands how painful it is. I've never met someone who understands exactly how I feel. At least one of my listeners will understand exactly how I feel. Anyway, it doesn't seem fair that I spent my whole life hating myself because he taught me how to hate myself. And then for me to just forgive him and have him happy with being forgiving, like, it doesn't seem fair. I do want to point out that when God asks us to forgive other people, it's not because they deserve forgiveness, but because God forgives us. So in my specific case, it'd be like, I'm gonna forgive my dad, not because he deserves forgiveness, but because God forgave me and I wanna give that back to other people. Because I didn't deserve forgiveness, but God, in his mercy, he forgave me. So I should do the same with other people. Like, share the same grace, share the same mercy. Anyway, I remember talking with my therapist when we first started talking about my dad, because we spent like a big chunk talking about food, and then I would share some experiences I had with my dad. I let her know how I did want to forgive him, but I felt so angry. I just felt like I wasn't ready to forgive him. She said, that's okay. Being upset about something is a first step in your forgiveness journey. You are entitled to be upset. Or maybe you feel like you still need to give yourself space and time for your emotions to validate them because you didn't have that when you were a kid. And that for me was like mind blowing because it makes total sense. When we're kids, we depend a lot on our parents. So I couldn't really like give myself permission to be in bad terms with the people who were taking care of me because that could mean danger, if that makes sense. They give you shelter, they give you food, you know, they're supposed to give you love. You're supposed to be with your parents while you're growing up. So I couldn't really get mad at him. I didn't even think I could. That's the thing. When I was a kid, I didn't think I had enough reason to be mad at him. I always thought the problem was me. Right now, I am giving myself the space to be mad, to be angry, to say the things that I couldn't say before, to feel upset, to cry. Because when I was a kid, I felt like shit, but I don't remember crying about it. So maybe not wanting to forgive him right now just means that I need more time being upset because I wasn't given enough time when I was a kid. I'm gonna be honest, I prayed. I told God that I was very angry at my dad and that I didn't want to forgive him. So if God could please soften my heart just so I can forgive my dad. I think that's what's been going on right now for me. My heart has gotten softer, which is great. I don't want to be hating on people even if they were trash with me. I want to be able to forgive and let go and just focus on my life and love myself and just love life. Obviously, I don't hate my dad, but I hate what he did. Something that I realized really helps for me is understanding why they did what they did. So, the first thing that I understood from my dad and what happened was that he had a negative relationship with food himself. I do remember that when I first started the diet, he started the same diet. I just had like smaller portions. I talked with my mom about it and she told me that my dad every December would start a diet. I can just imagine how conflicting it would have been. And all the negative affirmations I've repeated to myself over and over and over again are things he would tell me, but also things he would tell himself. He was projecting his insecurities onto me. I do want to mention something I was talking with my mom about yesterday. When he was starting to be a doctor, a family member got diabetes and they had to like amputate their leg. And then he had an aunt, but she died from that. And his uncles were making comments like, we have a doctor in the family, like he's obviously not doing a good job because he let our family member die. They were referring to my dad, and my mom could tell that he was very offended, right? But here's the thing. When I was a kid, I started getting sick because I had PCOS and I think I had insulin resistance. I think my dad got triggered from what happened when he was younger. and from his uncles making that comment. So my dad did everything he could so he could prevent me from getting sick. He put me in a really strict diet. He made sure that I exercised every day. He gave me medicine so I could lose weight. That comment stuck with him, and I'm guessing this for him was like, okay, I'm a doctor now, so I'm not gonna let this happen. Like, I'm not gonna let her die. I'm not gonna let her get sick. I'm gonna take care of her. And he was so hurt by that comment that he became very obsessive about taking care of me. But I don't know, I think it was a mix of like that obsession but also like caring for me. So in my mind it was never like, oh, I actually have health issues that I need to work on. It was more like, oh, I'm a huge problem. I'm fat. My dad doesn't love me. I'm the problem. My life just felt so monotone. My whole purpose was eating from the diet, and I didn't care about anything other than that. That was just my priority. What if my dad felt so scared about me, his daughter, getting sick, despite all the negative things that my sister and I had with our parents? At the core, I do think my parents really loved us. I think they would do anything for us. And if I ignore everything he did to me, I can understand where he's coming from and I can respect that. Obviously, I hate what he taught me about food, but I'm at a point where I genuinely understand that that's all he knew. He was old enough to go to therapy, to afford his own therapy. That being said, healing is really hard. I think that's the one thing that I've learned in my healing process, that healing is really hard. And I 100% understand why people don't like to heal. And I don't know, I think just that just humanizes him. I don't need to think that my dad is a good person. I don't need to think that he meant zero harm. I just need to understand what went through his mind and relate to him as much as possible, as much as I can, to be able to let go. That's what personally works for me. Obviously, this is not the case for everything or for everyone. Like, I've had experiences in my life with people that even if I tried to understand what was going through their mind, I may understand it, but there's no way that I'm going to relate to it. But you shouldn't feel like you have to relate with someone or with what they did in order for you to forgive them. Anyway, so just understanding. I don't condone it. I don't think people should act that way, but I can understand why it happened. Have I forgiven him? I don't know. I don't think so. But I know that I'm closer, and that's what matters. That being said, forgiveness for me is not going to look like me having a relationship with my dad again. I genuinely don't think that will ever happen. At this point, I don't see myself having a relationship with someone so unempathetic with what I went through. In order for someone to understand the pain that they caused you, they need to first understand the pain that they feel. And that's a lot to ask from someone. With my dad, I just honestly, I feel afraid. A comment about what I'm eating coming from him would break me down to tears. And that's probably something that I definitely need to work on, because I don't want to get myself to a point where no matter what people say about me or my weight or how I look like, I won't care. Like, it won't impact me. My self concept is going to be so strong that it's not going to impact me, but I'm currently not there yet. So, yeah, I think that's where I'm at forgiveness. I hope you guys are able to take a step closer to forgiving that one person who hurt you or that one person who impacted your relationship with food. I pray for you guys. Thank you for letting me be part of your journey. I feel very happy, very honored. I encourage you to check out my social media and please stay tuned for next week's episode. Mwah! God bless you.